Hi everyone, and welcome to this YouTube channel. My name is Penny. In this video, we are going to walk through a mobile app that automates the process of calculating financial ratios. And this is based on this tool I had developed in Excel in September of last year. So the idea back then was that a user can come in to this tool and tick off a few boxes and hit run, and the tool will calculate the respective ratios that the user had picked and output a plot that plots those ratios that compares between 2 years. So this was back then, and I have developed this into this mobile app where you could import this Excel file into the mobile app and ask in a chat format to the app on the ratios that you want to develop. And of course, there is a plot that plots everything that was asked into one plot so that you could compare them between the 2 years. So let's have a look. So first, I will import the file, pick the financial statement file, and this preview shows up. And so I'll proceed to the chat and say, could you calculate the current ratio? Hit send. Now, that's a comparison plot between the first year and the last year. So year 1, I'm getting 3 for the current ratio and 2.33 for the second year. So you'll see there is a downward trend there. So what if I ask, could you calculate the debt to equity ratio? Hit send. And there, I have a second line on my graph, and so on. So this tool is incorporating the current ratio, the debt to equity ratio, the return on assets, the return on equity, as well as the profit margin at this point. So let's have a walk through the code in the back end. So as you see, there are 6 files on the top portion in Android Studio, and those are incorporating the back-end logic that runs the app. And there are a bunch of XML files at the bottom, which supports the front-end design of the app. So let's put this into a plot, and this gives you a visual of their relationships with each other. So the main activity KT file incorporates the main activity of the app, and it is working with the activity main XML file that supports its design. So that's incorporating the top tabs in our app, as well as the swiping function that allows us to swipe across pages like this. And it's working with the sections pager adapter, which is giving rise to this swiping functionality that supports multiple pages in an app. And shared view model contains all the data that's shared between the 3 tabs that we have. And of course, the 3 files for each tab is supporting the backend logic for that tab. And each of them have downstream XML files that supports their design. So let's have a look at the back end for each file. So for main activity, you see that there is the sections pager adapter and shared view model that's working with it. and activity main is being laid out here to support the design of the app. And so activity main is having the tabs that's on the top of our app here. And the view page 2, which is supporting the layout of what's on each tab. And we have the sections pager adapter, so you can see that each page is labeled 0, 1, and 2. So we are linking them together to build this app. And the shared view model is supporting all the data in the app. So that includes everything from the Excel file and the chat messages and the select file function and whether the Excel is loaded. And it also has a calculate financial data map that supports the calculation for the financial ratios downstream. And each of the financial ratios calculated in this app is laid out down below here. So now let's dive into each page. So file import is performing a file search to see if there's any file selected. And once a file is selected, it's assigned a URI. And a URI is standing for Uniform Resource Identifier. So that is being used to identify a resource. So a hyperlink is a URI and a file path is a URI. And in this case, we're using this identifier to identify the file that we have imported. And to support the file import tab, we have the file input XML file. So you see that there is this button to pick the file. And we have the file preview tab, which is used to display what is identified in the URI. So the app is listening for any update in the shared view model, which stores the imported file. And if there is any update, it will display that update. And in our case, it will look like our imported Excel file in the file preview tab. And to support this tab, we have the file preview XML, and you can see that the contents are being displayed in this scroll view, which allows you to scroll back and forth to have a very pleasant viewing experience. And to separate the header from the body of the imported file, we have the Excel header item, which supports the header of our imported file, and the Excel row item, which supports the rest of the file. And last but not least, we have the chat fragment tab. So this is handling all the chat messages that's potentially inputted into the app. So we have a lot of conditions on when a user could ask for the ratios that we have planned for. And those are laid out here. And to support this tab, we have two XML files. So first of all, we have the fragment chat XML file, and that includes the text input field that we have here. So that's an input edit text code chunk in our XML file, and as well as the send button that's right here. And to display the chat history in the body of this tab, we have the chat item, which displays all the messages that we have input it into the app. So that is, in a nutshell, an overview of this app. And I hope this will be useful for all the accountants out there. And I welcome any input that you may have to improve this app. I'll see you in the next video.